start with your thoughts on the night, and then this week is always the 3 game in 7-8 days is always tough, but to come out here with 7 points, what are your thoughts as you go into next weekend?
Yeah, I think as a collective week, it was a great week. I mean, you put 7 points together on 3 game weeks and you aggregate that over a season, you're going to win the Supporter Shield. So, but, the third one at home, we would love to get 3 points out of this one. But I felt like it was a game of lost opportunities in our attacks. I mean, we were able to, I think, pretty consistently get into the attacking half of the field on several occasions, get into something that looks like it can be attack, and then we falter in the final action, whether it's the second to final pass, the second assist pass that should lead to a better pass, the cross. We had 16 crosses, of which maybe one of them or two of them maybe turned into decent looks. I remember the cut back to Tyler who finished it, but 16 crosses, most of which lead to virtually nothing. So for me, it was just a night of, a lot of wasted attacks that I think we need to be more detailed, sharper, and we need to try to obviously be cleaner and finish something out of those. We had some transitions where I thought we call some fast attacks where we broke through the lines and we were then built speed into our attacks, and too many of those we shorted the pass and lost it in front of their back line instead of being able to get behind, and then those were coming right back at us and they were fast attacks against us, and I thought that accounted for a decent number of their opportunities in transition as well. So some of those attacks that we're talking about that looked promising for us turned around and ended up dangerous against us, and that's we have to be better in, again, the creation of the attack and the finishing of the attack, and otherwise we would leave ourselves in these vulnerable positions, especially in the third game in a week when guys are, they've laid it out pretty heavy for the 2 games prior, and to have an open game where it's going end to end, where the midfield is pretty empty because one group is attacking and then one group is defending, is a tough one. But again, I give the guys a ton of credit for the work, the effort, getting the 0, protecting their goal down the stretch with 10 men. I thought we did a good job of managing out the game. This group has gone through a lot. Just again, losing Douglas last week, Lucas goes down today. Just the amount of punches the group is taking and still fighting and getting 7 points this week is massive, in my opinion. It can't be underestimated.
Do we have a preliminary on Calgary?
No indication. I just know he went down because of his knee, and he didn't come back in, which I don't like, and so don't know anything more until we get a scan and see what's going on. So I don't have an indication really. So
it's probably happened before, but I don't recall it when you made 4 subs at once. At that time of the game, what were you thinking? And a couple of players had gone quite a bit the first 2 games, but a couple had not.
Yeah, there was. I mean, Mark was gassed, and Tyler had spent what he had. I felt with Dejan probably had a little bit more, but I want to see what Sharpie can bring to this group and give him an opportunity, not 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but really give him an opportunity to try to impact the group and the team. And I felt like the game just needed some legs and needed a boost of energy from our side at that point, because we weren't necessarily taking in water, but we were managing the situation. I felt like we weren't necessarily on the front foot, so I felt like bringing multiple guys in could help to change. Like if you bring 1 guy in, 2 guys in, it doesn't necessarily change the energy of the group. I felt like we just needed more. I mean, in the end, it left us short in the final minutes, but hindsight is 20/20 and something like that. But I felt like the group, in order to give us a chance to regain some momentum and get something to win it, I felt like we needed a boost in energy.
Greg, I think you talked about it with the effort that they had, but you guys seem to manage transition moments pretty well tonight.
Yeah.
You used to have a bunch of them, and for the most part, you guys seem to be able to get back and do it. What's sort of the maturation, or what about this group has sort of changed in the last, let's say 10 games?
Yeah, well, I would say over the course of the season we've had to manage too many, so maybe we've gotten better at it. I think adding, Amaya with his maturity and the decision making that he's making in some of these crisis situations, Chris tonight with his speed, adds a different element to our group when he's on the field because he can just cover territory and deal with situations. Yeah, and I thought our midfield is always pretty hardworking, and they were recovering quickly to get back under things. Our fullbacks tonight, we held Lucas a little bit lower. We didn't put him in the attack so much. Again, he was in the third game of this week. I used Mark a little bit higher, so having a third defender in a defensive situation in crisis helps the situation. So, we've tried to be more cognizant of those situations. Ideally, not putting ourselves in those situations, but as we said earlier, for the reasons earlier, we did, and we did a solid job of managing. Ultimately, surviving all of them, but we did a good job of managing them.
It was Diego Fagundez's home debut. What did you think of him and also his first start for the Galaxy?
Yeah, I feel like Diego's still settling in within the group. He's very clever about his positional play, and he's a smart player. He's a technical player. I still think he's finding his top speed within our group in terms of just the changing of tempo, the higher intensity moments, getting more of those in where he can be more impactful in some final play moments because he has the quality and he has the intelligence to be in the right positions. He knows where he should be running, where it should be. I just want to see him get up to a little bit higher speed and higher intensity. Some more of those moments because I think he'll see the goal more because he has an incredible shot, especially coming in on his right foot. It's a weapon, and I think he's capable of getting into the box and also getting to the end line from time to time. So again, I think he's understanding a lot in terms of the positional play. I just would like to see him continue to get comfortable about taking more risk in some of those high intensity moments in some of those final actions.
Hey Greg, you talked about the improvement in transitions. You guys have 2 clean sheets in the last 3 games. Can you just talk about the backline in general, Jonathan Bond, kind of just being there, and just how the defense is improving? And before you guys started back in last season, you guys were I think conceded the most goals in the West, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's for the same reasons that I just kind of laid out. I thought we were actually very poor at stopping them and starting attacks. I felt like we didn't do a good job of closing off the middle of the field. They were able to play right through us, and that starts with our front 2, making sure that we close off the pivots. I thought a lot of their dangerous actions when they were playing out of their set attack was just balls played right through the middle of us that started a 3-man combination that we had to deal with. So for me, we weren't great on that side of things, which left our back 6 having to deal with a lot of stuff, both in transition, but also just in the sets when they were able to play through us. But I think the group is the backs 4 plus the defensive midfielders. Obviously they didn't play the whole night together, but Uri and Edwin are more 2 defensive-minded midfielders that sit and hold a little bit more and break up plays. But yeah, I just think the back 4 is getting more solid. Again, with Maya back there, he makes a lot of right decisions, to be fair. And sometimes in defending, you just need one guy to break the series of mistakes that can clean up a lot of things. And I think Maya helps us with that. I thought Chris had a solid game tonight, and that helped us with that. I thought Eric has had good games the last couple games with his maturity back there, which, again, it's just breaking the string of sometimes little errors that happen and cutting that off, and then you deal with a play. And I think that's happened more over this stretch. I think Ross had good, solid outings here the last couple of games as well, which has helped.
Yeah, I've noticed that Alvarez hasn't been in the team sheet the last 3 games. Is there an injury, or is it your decision to leave him out?
My decision at the moment, yeah. So.
Any others? Oh.
Thank you, Greg. So next week you'll have a couple players missing through either injury, international duty. Do you feel comfortable with the amount of depth you have at the moment and being able to weather those absences?
Well, I mean, we have challenges. It's Douglas is certainly looking better over the last couple of days, so I would put him in a hopeful category for next week. With Lucas going down, it's going to see where Lucas is at, and I think Kelvin is slated to go away to international duty, so that leaves us a little bit right on the right side. Mauricio is our guy, who's been great, but he's young, and so at center back, Eric will be leaving. but we've got some guys who can step into those roles and help us out. We have some depth there. So again, I think the way, unfortunately, the group has had to deal with some of these situations over the season is the next guy that's up has to step up and just be himself and play at his best level and fit into the team and try to do the best job he can. We'll look at all of our options over the course of the week. So, but there's nowhere else to look because our group is our group, and we're gonna these guys. I'm confident that whoever steps in is gonna compete and do the job.
Greg, you alluded to it, just taking punches and kind of hitting back, but it just feels like since the beginning of the year, there's been so much going on around the team, obviously. Well, it does seem like it's been a turnaround. I don't know if there's a certain moment you can call it, or what you just think internally has kind of led to maybe a different approach, a different mentality that has kind of produced something different.
Yeah, first of all, I appreciate that because this team, for me, has taken excuse my language, a shitload of punches over the course of the season that come in various ways, shapes, and forms, some that they haven't asked for, and they've gotten them. So, and I think they've shown a ton of resiliency. For me, it was probably back, I don't know, 10, 11 games ago when we started kind of this stretch when I know the amount of stress that was on the team to just try to get a win was overwhelming in a lot of instances. And we kind of we just had to sit down and we put that away and let's just try to get better each game. Let's focus on performance. Let's focus on our individual roles. Let's just try our best to put away the noise and just focus on each of us individually inside, block everything out, and let's just try to do a good performance. Let's have a good half. And I think, for whatever that reason, along with whatever else was going on, we kind of refocused on take some of the pressure off of the result and let's just try to have a good half and let's stay solid. A couple things that tactically we could adjust a little bit to try to help ourselves out, to protect ourselves a little bit more. Things like that. We've stayed really consistent with the things that we're doing just to try to keep it simple with everybody. And I think the group has, just built some confidence and resiliency. It started off with a couple draws, and then from the draws came a couple big results and wins, and then a win in the Rose Bowl in front of a huge crowd, which gives the team a lot of confidence. And then I think you go from feeling like you're in a really tough position to feeling like you have a lot of confidence and you can beat some really good teams. We beat LAFC, we beat Philadelphia back to back. You feel like, okay, we've got our foundation here to build off of and move forward. And that's what we've just been talking about. One game at a time, one play at a time. Let's go out and let's perform. And the result at the end of the day will be based off of how we perform and execute. And that's it. You can't make the result before the game happens. And so we just try to focus on that more often, and the group has been great. And when you build a little energy and momentum inside of our league, because the margins are fine, you can win games and get results. And despite the fact that we've had some really important guys drop out of the team and have sacrificed themselves for the season, guys have still stayed steadfast in the process and stepped up and battled, and they will continue to do so for the rest of the season. And hopefully at the end of the day, they have something to show for it because of the hard work they've put in this year.